What's up there, guys? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Rick. This is Fanfare for the Conscious, and in the video today I'm going to be talking about the millions of UK homeowners who were defrauded on their mortgages. Let's dive in. Today I'm going to be talking about the Great British Mortgage Swindle. So the Great British Mortgage Swindle is a film by Michael Obanisia and Michael O'Dara, and it underlines the selective enforcement of law by UK judicial system and the police forces. It proves that the fraudulent practices involved in the generation of credit for property transactions, and it defines around 11.2 million mortgages as being fraudulent on at least one of three counts. So what are these counts, you might say? On which points are the mortgages themselves to be considered fraudulent, and what does that mean for me as a mortgage owner? Well, point number one, when you signed your mortgage deed, which was secured against the property which you wished to buy, you did not actually own the property. And in accordance to law, you cannot secure a loan against any item of property which is not owned at the time that the loan itself is signed. The mortgage, when it is executed, can only be secured against currently owned property, since as the mortgagee you are looking usually to buy the property with the money acquired by the loan, you do not actually own that property at the time the loan is executed. And on that count alone, it is illegal and void. The second count for which a mortgage itself is fraudulent is that the funds themselves were not available at the time the mortgage was executed. You may not know this, but when the mortgage is executed, the money itself is created by the mortgage deed. There was no money there before. What happens when that money is created, it is placed into another account, which is then used to loan to you. There was no money before you signed that document, and the signing of that document created the funds which were used to provide the mortgage. Therefore, there has not been an equitable exchange. The final point on which mortgage deeds are fraudulent is that they are not properly executed at all. Now, any of you who have had a mortgage will know that you usually receive your mortgage documents in the post, which you sign, you do not date them, and then they are returned to the bank which is providing the mortgage for you. What the bank then does is they add the witness signature and date the mortgage post signing. So the document itself was not signed in the presence of the witness, and it was not dated at the time that it was signed. Furthermore, there is very rarely a signature from the bank itself on that mortgage deed. If you can get hold of your mortgage deed, you can prove that this is the case. And on that third account, the mortgage is also fraudulent. Now, if the mortgage itself is fraudulent on any of these three counts, then the mortgage itself is void. And what does that mean for the homeowner? Well, practical upshots. Number one, you still own your home. The person whom you bought that home off has received their money. The transaction has taken place. They have received the money and you have gained the property. Second practical upshot is that not only are you due back all of the money which you paid into this mortgage because it was fraudulently created in the first place, you are also due compensation for being defrauded by the bank. So if we just stop and do a little bit of maths for a moment, there's 11.2 million fraudulent mortgages in the UK alone. And if each house is worth £250,000, this is taking conservative numbers here because we're not even taking into account interest and we're not taking into account any compensation. The actual value of that house as determined by the mortgage was £250,000. That adds up to £2.8 trillion of compensation due to UK homeowners. Let me say that again. £2.8 trillion has to be found by the banks. And this has a massive, massive impact on the financial system because the banks simply don't have that sort of money. It would have to be created again out of thin air in order to pay back those compensation fees. And anybody with a little bit of understanding about economics can see how that was going to be a massive, massive impact on the financial system, and I firmly believe will be the beginning of its downfall. Now, the most important thing is going to be, what are we as a people going to do with that £2.8 trillion? So I imagine the question you're probably asking yourself at this point is, how do I get my hands on this money, and has this been proven in a court yet? Well, yes, Michael Obenissia has proven it in court, and he has liberated his entire family's estate of homes. There is currently a class action lawsuit being put forward via a group which was set up by Michael Obenissia, whereby 500 plus UK homeowners are set to prove this in court and receive their compensation. It's very much like the PPI scam happened. There was one case on its own, then there was a class action case which went through, and then everybody was due compensation. If you would like to be part of that first wave, then please head over to thebenissian.net, do some research, do some reading, and find out how you can get signed up to join this Great British Mortgage Swindle. That just leaves me to say thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are. If you did like this content, don't forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and the notification bell set to all will always make sure you're kept up to date with my latest videos, which drop on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays at 8 PM UK time. If you want to be part of the Sovereign Lawful People's Assembly of your nation, then join us over at lawfulbank.com. It's our digital version of our lawful meeting houses and discussion areas. Would love to see you there. Don't forget to stay free, think free, and act free, and I will see you next time.